The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
That's right. Welcome to Couch Live here on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's a beautiful Friday. I'm the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you, along with my partner, Trinity Phillips, the Dharma Guy.
Hey, what's going on?
How you liking that new microphone, Trinity?
I'm loving it. It feels like I'm in the studio now.
Trinity got a little upgrade.
I did. It's a huge upgrade, man.
It is, man. It's a beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I feel like I am somebody now.
Well, you're getting there, Trinity. You know, you've been doing so good with Dharma Time. You know, you got over 100 subscribers on YouTube, and that was your present. Thank you very much for everybody who subscribed on YouTube.
Right on.
You know, the Dharma Time went up, and so you got a gift.
Yeah, and right now,
What are you about to say?
I'm looking at our feed right now.
What's mine?
On Facebook Live,
Is it
and we're
backwards?
sideways. We're sideways.
How are we sideways?
I don't know, but it's funny.
I don't understand.
I think because when you put it up, it didn't register that it's been tilted, so you'd have to just shake it.
All right, hold on.
So,
you go ahead and fill up the time
well,
and tell everybody what we're going to talk about.
Well, actually, first, while you're doing that, I got an announcement.
Yeah, go ahead.
My son, my youngest, is going to be turning 7 tomorrow. Oh, still there you go. Yeah, my son is turning 7 tomorrow, so we're going to be taking him for an airboat ride. Actually, the whole family, we're all going to go.
Can I start this all over?
You go right ahead, brother. You go right. You do whatever you want.
There, it's got to start like that, I think.
Sure. But anyways, no, so yes, he's turning 7, so we're all going to go down as a family, do an airboat ride. It's a very cool thing. We've done it a few times. You get to see a lot of alligators, eagles, things of that nature. So we're looking forward to it. I'm very excited. I can't believe my youngest is going to be 7, though. That's insane to me. What are you doing?
I don't know. It's not giving me any...
Here, let me see it.
Here, man. But start it sideways. You got to start it sideways is what it is.
Yes, princess.
If you don't start it sideways, it doesn't like when you turn it afterwards.
Sure.
Did you just call me princess?
I did.
I just got you a new microphone.
Well, okay.
That's not very nice of you, you know. Well, after you get gifts, you're supposed to at least, you know, be nice for a day.
I'm distracted. Hold on.
Anyway, we're talking about today on the Couch Live. We're talking about can you effectively diagnose someone with a mental health illness while they're in active addiction? See, that's the key question there, Trinity.
Well, I mean, how do you define what's active addiction? I guess is what, because for the first time, actually, which is very interesting. It's already started. Yeah. For the first time, we actually haven't spoken about this at all.
I know. I didn't give you any warning.
No, none whatsoever.
That was pretty messed up of me, by the way.
No. You know what? I like it, though. It's more genuine that way.
Okay.
So I can give my honest feedback, and I don't lose anything on the uptake, I guess.
Right.
So when I looked at it, my first thought was, first of all, how are you defining active addiction? Are you meaning that the person is literally like the needle is still in their arm and they're trying to talk to me at the moment? Or are you talking about, hey, I just used yesterday or this morning and we're talking? Like, what is active addiction to you? How do you define that? Because I believe that changes my answer.
What what active addiction is?
What I'm saying is,
so let's say I'm right now I'm using drugs. I'm using heroin.
What I'm saying is like, isn't like this very second you're currently high talking to me, or you use like this morning or last night?
I've used let's say that it's in that first 30 days of treatment.
Okay.
So I might be sober up to 30 days or whatever.
Okay.
Definitely while I'm intoxicated.
Yeah,
and then I'm in withdrawals.
But if you're actually physically high at that moment, I think it's
Right.
very difficult to do anything with anybody because they're high.
Right.
They're not exactly of
I
sound
agree
mind.
with that. I agree.
So I think to me that changes my answer a little bit.
Does it?
But if we're talking about they have, they're sober at that moment, like maybe they used the night before, the morning of, so
Right.
they're not currently, in that euphoria, then my answer to that is yes. I think you still can because I think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No. So you think that if they've already come down off the substance, then yes, they can be diagnosed.
Correct. I that's how I feel. I think that based upon the people that I know, I like to think that there's certain indicators to look for. I think that the drugs can exacerbate the situation
Right.
and make it exaggerated or even mask certain things.
Right.
But I think a truly talented therapist or practitioner
Right.
that we hang around with,
Right.
I think that they're skilled enough and they know what to look for to where they can spot those out, which is why they have dual diagnosis facilities.
Right.
And if they're there for the first 30 days at a dual diagnosis facility, then within the first 30 days, they're finding out what other issues were there, not just the drug usage.
True.
So do I think it's easy? No, but I think that's why we have trained professionals. I think, a regular Joe.
You got a lot of trust in people. You got a lot of faith. You have a lot of faith.
I have a lot of faith in the good ones.
Okay, but I mean, the ability to spot a mental illness, some may be a little bit more easy to spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think some of them, like codependency, things of that nature, those are.
That's not a mental illness.
Well, once again, we haven't defined any of those. You talking about like bipolar?
Yeah, bipolar disorder. I'm talking about ADD. I'm talking about schizophrenia.
See, I think some of those could be spotted
by clinical depression.
I think some of those can be spotted by a skilled practitioner. I really do.
So I'm going to ask you. So someone comes in. They've been doing drugs for 5 years.
Okay.
Daily for 5 years or whatever. You don't think there's a residual effect of some emotional stuff? You don't think there's I don't know, things that they're going to present that may get settled down? Like the snow globe, when you shake it up. Have you ever seen a snow globe when you shake it up and then it kind of settles? You don't think there's a time period where that you require to settle?
I think that a true mental illness is still going to be there, whether it's there or not. And I think a true legitimate mental illness can be spotted.
Well, do drugs not cause depression? So that's some of the withdrawal symptoms of some drugs, right?
I think they can, but I think, once again, a skilled practitioner will be able to know
the difference between substance-induced depression and regular depression.
Correct.
And then we do have substance abuse psychosis.
I think some of your answers,
schizophrenia.
I think some of your answers to questions, your logic in figuring things out, I think, because once again, we're not talking about somebody who is going to sit down and watch you walk through the room and make a diagnosis.
Right.
I'm talking about you're going to see somebody who's going to sit down and talk to you over the course of maybe a couple of days, several hours, talking to you, asking you certain questions, getting your perspective on things, listening to how you're saying, what you're saying, and how you're figuring stuff out. And through that, they're going to make their determination. It's not like a 1-2 minute conversation. They walk away diagnosing you with all these things. And so I think a skilled practitioner, and the one that's coming to my mind right now is Aaron.
Right.
And so do I think Aaron is capable? Because once again, you're not saying can everybody do it.
Man, you're going to bring up Aaron. You're going to make me call him.
But you're saying, is it possible? And I'm going to say yes. I think it is possible.
Wow. And
I'm looking at people like Aaron, and I think Aaron is skilled enough to have dialogue with somebody and be able to kind of make some sort of a diagnosis within that. Those discussions. I do.
You know what I'm going to do?
Call him.
Hell yeah.
Good luck. He's probably seeing somebody right now making a diagnosis.
You think?
Hi, this is Aaron Moore, licensed mental health counselor.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
Now,
you brought up Aaron because I was gonna call it real quick. Here's the problem.
Do I think it's easy? No.
Well, here's the problem, Trinity. The problem is that substance use in general makes us all look like we're all ADD.
Yeah.
So all of us can get diagnosed with ADD at that moment. All of us can get diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the moment.
I think anybody can be diagnosed with ADD.
All of us can be diagnosed with depression at the moment.
Yeah.
You do require some time
of your
brain just settling down a bit
Sure.
And your behavior settling down a bit. Because remember, there's a high anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety going on. We're not sleeping right. We're not eating right. We're malnourished. We're dealing with a lot of life's problems at the moment.
Right.
There's so much going on when you first get into a rehab facility or get in front of a practitioner.
Yes.
That it's very difficult to see what's real and not real.
I agree.
And so sometimes people get placed on medication for a specific mental health illness or get diagnosed with a mental illness that they're never going to shake off because it's going to follow them. Okay. Once you've been diagnosed, then the next practitioner knows, have you ever been diagnosed with this? Well, one time, a doctor said and then they write it down.
Right.
And then so it kind of follows you. And I've known a lot of people to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder that in sobriety, 1 and 2 years in, they didn't present any bipolar disorder. Hell, I've known guys that have been diagnosed with schizophrenia at Trinity. Right. Now, there's some drugs that can make you look really schizoaffective at the moment. And they didn't have schizophrenia. I've known them. Right. I've been around them.
I think, but that's part of my point, I think, is I think it's not easy, but I think a skilled person who has history, who...
Yeah, but you're thinking they're going to spend a lot of time with a person.
Well, they should.
Well, how much time is that?
I don't know.
How many visits do you think?
That's above my pay grade right there.
Okay, well, how many visits do you think a psychiatrist should... Well, you've worked at inpatient facilities before, so
those people are being seen almost every day.
Daily by a psychiatrist?
Well, not by a psychiatrist, no, but by people who I think are qualified to add value to the discussion. Yeah, every day. Some of the therapists and things of that nature. And
some therapists are really good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
And I agree with the Aaron Moores of the world are a little bit more skilled than others. I think completely agree with that.
I'm not arguing if it's easy or not. I'm just saying, is it possible? No. And I think somebody who is skilled in the world of addiction, who has history with it, who's had enough sessions with somebody, who knows what to look for, what not to look for, knows what signs and symptoms are associated with which drugs or whatever, I think they know what to look for.
I'm going to
try him again?
No, I'm going to try someone else. See if he answers the phone.
Doom, doom, doom.
I'm not letting you know who it is yet.
Right on.
Because I agree with you. I think there's some people that are more skilled than others. Yeah. Now, everybody's going to avoid our phone calls, from 12 to 1 on Fridays.
Yeah.
That's what gets on my nerves. Once you do this to people...
there it goes.
No. Once you do this to people...
There it goes.
They know. It's not even cool.
There's no bueno.
No.
No bueno.
No, but see, that's the problem, Trinity, is some people come back from rehab with all these diagnoses that they have or they think they have. And
I think in general, if we're talking about mental health, to be honest with you, I think in general, we're way too quick as a society to blame mental health issues on everything.
Right.
If our kids are hyperactive and run around, they've got ADD and they need Ritalin, as opposed to, their kids. Like my son right now at 7. Well, 7 tomorrow, I guess. But my son at 7, he runs around. He likes to destroy things. He likes to get into things.
Right.
I guarantee you it would not be difficult for me to find a therapist or whomever to diagnose him with ADD and get him on something. Right. It wouldn't be that hard for me. Do I think he has it? No. I think he has it probably just as much as everybody else around us.
Right.
I think he's just a kid with a bunch of energy that doesn't know what to do with it. So I think we're really too quick as a society to blame everything on mental health. Right. I think that's too easy to do.
Well, the thing is that there are some defined symptoms of these things. Like clinical depression is a serious deal.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, if you have someone like, what made me think about this is that, Vinci? How do you say his name? Vinci?
I have no clue what you're talking
about. The DJ that just recently killed himself.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Severe alcohol problem, depression, kills himself. 28, 26 years old, whatever it was. Anyway, the issue is, here's somebody that probably had clinical depression before substance use.
Right.
Then found his way, got in the limelight, did real good musically, drank a lot. The alcoholism doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm going to say that doesn't help.
Right? And then the depression is untreated because alcohol is not going to work. It's not a sustainable treatment.
No.
This is what we always talk about with street type of substances or even substances that doctors give you. If you already have an underlying issue like clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, if you really are bipolar disorder, if you really have schizophrenia, if you really have these things, drugs and alcohol aren't really going to help the situation. Maybe at first you're going to feel like, wow, I'm getting some relief with some of these symptoms that I don't like, but they're not sustainable. And in the long run, what happens? The symptoms come back.
Yeah, and sometimes
heavier,
worse. Yeah.
Heavier. And in this case here, a person kills himself. So addiction is a primary disease, though, a primary disorder, meaning it's an Axis 1 disorder. So without it being treated, you can't treat any other problem.
Sure.
So, like, if someone does have depression and they're under the influence of substances, you can't treat the depression.
Yeah, I would say I think that I mean, I guess to get personal, my own story.
Mm-hmm.
I was using I was dealing with some hormonal issues,
Mm-hmm.
and like I had lower testosterone, so I had to start the testosterone replacement therapy, and then this was back in December, and my body started doing what's called aromatization, where it basically turns the testosterone into estrogen.
Right.
And so if you don't use an estrogen blocker or aromatase inhibitor, then your estrogen by default starts to go up.
Right.
And so I thought that's what was happening to me.
Right.
But for whatever reason, my doctor and I kind of didn't get that handled as quickly as I would have liked.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you that when I got tested, my estrogen was 3 times as high as it should have been. Well, a little bit more than 3 times.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from personal I probably would have been diagnosed with clinical depression at that point.
And homicidal tendencies.
Absolutely, homicidal, suicidal, everything. Dude, December was a rough month, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, that I have a whole newfound respect for people who are actually dealing with legitimate depression.
Right.
Because my brain was doing things that I didn't want it to do, and I didn't know why it was doing it.
Perfect example. All right, so Trinity, let's take that.
Sure.
Now imagine now being diagnosed clinical depression, placed on antidepressants.
Right.
But now, do you get off them? You don't know. You're afraid to get off them because December was so horrible.
Right.
And you're thinking, wow, there's such a relief right now.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you.
Why would I ever risk getting off them?
Well, I'll tell you right now. Like, I won't stop taking my aromatase inhibitor right now.
There you go.
Because I don't want my estrogen to go back up and experience that.
And that's my point. I think that we as clinical people and we as treatment centers and people in this industry need to at least advise our clients, look, it's not for you to go off and get off your meds just because you don't think you're dealing with it anymore, because you might require this long term.
Well, you're not even qualified to make that decision.
Right, but at least understand, hey, after you leave rehab, remember, you have to get with another psychiatrist or a good one after, just to ensure that what we saw presenting in these first 30 days, it still requires some follow-up. Some of it may still require medication management. Some of it may not. I don't know. Remember, I'm only meeting you and seeing you after you just went through this traumatic and chaotic experience.
So we do have some responses.
Okay.
And
we had a poll.
We did have a poll.
All right.
And the poll results at the moment are 70-30. 70% saying no and 30% saying yes.
Right,
and the
we'll read the questions.
The poll question was, is a mental health diagnosis made while someone is in active addiction valid?
So a lot of people said no.
And so I would say, to continue on my previous thoughts, how would it not be valid? Like, if you're doing it right then and there and you're having the symptoms and you're doing it, is it not valid? Not to say it can't be reevaluated later on, but currently that's what it is it not?
No.
Really?
It's
interesting.
It's because some symptoms overlap.
Right.
Right. Like difficulty sleeping doesn't mean I have a sleep disorder. You know how many clients have come to me and says, I've always had problems sleeping.
Sure.
That's why I drink or whatever. You know how many clients in early rehab require a sleep aid? Now, do you really think that they all had true sleeping problems, or did drugs and alcohol have something to do with that?
I guess what my question is, and I'm being devil's advocate here.
Of course you are. You have to be.
That's my job. That's my role
here. That's how we talk.
Exactly. I guess using a loose definition of sleep disorder.
Right.
If you're having a problem sleeping, regardless of the reason why,
you still require help.
You still require help.
Well, we do, and that's why we give them help.
Yeah.
But
and so if you then 30 days later, 45 days later, once you're off everything, then you no longer have the sleep disorder.
But there's a difference between
Sure.
There's a difference between a sleep disorder and a substance-induced sleep disorder, right?
I'd agree.
And so there's substance-induced. Like, I'm going to go back to the schizoaffective or schizophrenia because that's a real dramatic one.
Right.
Right. That's one that can affect you for a lifetime.
Sure.
If you get diagnosed with that, even bipolar. There's a lot of people out there running around that have recently been diagnosed in the last decade with bipolar disorder, when a decade prior to that, nobody was diagnosed with bipolar, it seemed like.
And even now, I think a lot of people...
And really, it's manic depression, bipolar disorder. There's different levels.
There's so many
whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. The point is that there's a lot of people that were diagnosed in my generation with ADHD or ADD. Then it came... Then what got trendy was bipolar disorder. And now everybody has anxiety disorder or depression. Now, what's weird is that it's trendy and there's stigma attached to it. How do we have something that's both trendy and has a stigma attached to it?
And some of them are wrong. Though.
It's very, very odd, right?
I know somebody that was diagnosed with bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns out that they don't think it was bipolar after they've tried numerous medications, but now they believe it was just a serotonin issue.
Right.
So it wasn't actual bipolar. So I mean, once again, I think some of these diagnoses are thrown around quite a bit.
Well, how many people have you heard? How many non-professionals have you heard that if you had mood swings, you must be bipolar? Exactly. It's turned into like an attack on somebody.
Like, no, I just had a bad day.
What I mean? It's like there's a lot of husbands and boyfriends out there that are just throwing at their females. Yeah. Man, you're bipolar. Yeah. Man,
you're having a bad day.
It used to be you're hormonal. Now it's you're bipolar.
So the
everybody's a psychiatrist all
exactly armchair psychiatry.
Yeah.
So the responses we have here. The first one here is Marissa, which big contributor to the show. She's always answering. Thank you for awesome. That. She says no because the drugs can do different things to the body and chemical makeup that will go away with sobriety.
Yep.
So they may cause it, and no medication is needed once the person gets sober. But sometimes people use drugs to mask things that are already happening medically with them that using will amplify and medication is actually needed. Either way, I'd lean more towards no.
I need a bell today.
Right? Bing, bing, bing. Those are great answers.
She was 100% right.
Yeah.
Marissa, you are 100% right on... No. The only reason I'm saying that is because I agree with you. And my opinions are my opinions alone. In my professional opinion... Marissa, you are right.
Now, she did a fantastic job. She usually does, though.
Yeah.
Next one was from Paul. No, substance abuse is primary. Get that out of the way before a mental health evaluation can be valid.
Very true.
And then another individual who...
ding, ding, ding. Paul?
Yeah.
I agree with you, too.
And then Michael, he had a pretty decent one.
Give me somebody I don't agree with. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know if we have him yet. Here's an interesting study done because they dropped a study, I guess, that Syracuse did. Syracuse University.
Great. I like Syracuse.
That would tend to agree with Paul. Okay. And it says, to me, the most relevant part of of this paper as it pertains to the question at hand is in the section starting with diagnoses. The first question that came to my mind is, does addiction cause mental illness? Or does mental illness cause addiction? I think addiction, whether it is treated or not, is a mental illness and is never cured. Otherwise, there would be either less or no relapse, which makes the validity of this question somewhat mute. Of course, I can only speak from personal experience. I am not a scholar, but having been in recovery for 25. Now here comes the disclaimers. In recovery for 25 years, I still feel less than free from mental illness, even though I am no longer active in addiction. I think there are degrees of mental illness and degrees of treatment and outcomes.
Oh, my God. Great. What was the first name? What was the first name on that?
Michael.
Michael, you are absolutely correct as well, sir. Now, here's the thing.
There's some great listeners.
It is a mental illness. It's just a different degree of mental illness. So it has its level of severity and acuity level, what we would call an acuity level, which all that really means is how severe is it right now?
Correct.
How much is it presenting right now? Like sometimes it's presenting great, and you're like way... you're on that scale. You know what I mean? You need help like right now. Yes. And then sometimes it's so low level that it almost appears like you don't have it.
Right.
But it again, if substance abuse, if dependence is a mental illness, right? If it has that, then why not just simply understand that it has some of the symptoms that also look like other problems.
Right.
But if you treat just depression and allow your client to still drink thinking, well, we're treating the depression.
Ouch. All right.
Right? Because that was our problem years ago, and I hope we don't go back to that ever. We had people with true mental illness that found substances and found aids for that. For instance, when I started smoking pot as a young kid, I said, man, this is the answer to my ADHD.
Yeah.
And I was hyperactive until I smoked a lot of pot.
I think people still think that.
And then when I did cocaine with it and alcohol with it, I realized I had a level head and I was able to really concentrate. And I was like, man, I'm now able to focus. So I thought I found a medication better than Ritalin.
That's what they call self-medicating.
And Ritalin is like a lower grade cocaine. So, of course, cocaine helped me focus. It just was not sustainable, right?
Yep.
There's people with depression that start drinking thinking, wow, this takes away some of those harmful thoughts to myself. I start smiling and I start having a good time. I'm able to enjoy people. I'm able to socialize. But as soon as the alcohol goes away, now they close back up and they don't want to talk to anybody again. They isolate again. Right. They got to re-up. And so it's dangerous when you treat a true mental illness that you've never been diagnosed with. And I hate, the problem is the word itself sounds bad. Mental illness.
Yeah. Well, that's where the stigma comes from.
Yeah. That mental illness. And I'm not a words guy, I'm not one of those guys that said, man, we got to make the words softer, How does that make you feel? But it is a bad sounding thing, but I don't know how. We're just gonna have to get over it.
Yeah,
We're just gonna have to get over it.
I guess it's maybe because the people I know and the field that I'm in, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I view it as just, stuff happens, man. It is what it is.
I know.
Deal with it.
Well, no, but it doesn't sound funny to you.
Mental illness.
Yeah. Like if you said, I have a mental illness, like just say that for a second.
I have a mental illness.
Then that doesn't sound.
Are you gonna run that
odd.
on a loop somewhere now?
Yeah.
You can record that and put that out there as my ringtone. No, I just
say Louis is the man.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that there might have been a point in my life where I looked at it differently, but because I know so many people who have been diagnosed as that, and then the field, and then all the therapists that I know and everything, it just doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying it bothers me, but you're a better man than me, because me, I still hear it, and it does. I have to admit, there is a stigma attached to it that even me, as working in this field for 28 whatever years,
wow,
that word it's the word illness. The word illness,
really?
Something about the word illness. Which is odd because I loved the Beastie Boys when they used to be out, and licensed to ill.
Man.
Illness was a good thing, right? But the word illness almost sounds like it's attacking me right now.
Really?
And like
Wow.
there's no mental recovery. Like there's what I mean? Like recovery.
Okay.
Like I look at the word illness like addiction, and then you have recovery, right?
Right.
So illness, and then what?
Well,
So what if I'm stabilized? That's why the word illness bothers me, I guess.
You don't
and
think
it's just
there's a
me. It's
solution
just
to
me.
it, basically?
I do. No, I think there is a solution.
You just don't
to
think the word promotes the solution to it.
I don't think just by saying mental illness you correctly give some sort of credibility to stabilization, I guess.
Okay.
Like it's if it's currently arrested or if it's in remission or something like that. I mean, it's just like I've never heard another term that goes with it that makes it sound like it's stabilized. Unless I'm just missing it.
Well, they
right
call
now.
it
I don't know.
treated, I guess. I mean,
but I still have a mental illness.
They'll say, "Is it being treated?"
But I still have a mental illness, so maybe we just got to get over it.
I guess because
so I'm just mentally ill, but
yeah,
I think I'm kind of stable.
I think we're all a little mentally ill. So.
But I want to call another person.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to say hi to Mr. Michael Maynard from Kansas City.
No way.
Yeah, he
Maynard's on?
Chimed in and says hi from Kansas City. So.
What's up, Maynard? Maynard, you know I have mental illness. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I think we all do.
Maynard knows I'm sick. So anyway, I'm trying to call this guy.
Who?
I'm not telling you.
All right.
Do you care?
No, not
All you got to know is that nobody wants to answer my phone call.
We'll make it happen
from 12 to 1 ever.
That's because you've burned that bridge too many times, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Wimps. You're a bunch of wimps.
Nobody wants to be on air.
Answer the dang phone calls. Isn't that crazy? They get all scared.
Well, either that or they're busy doing stuff.
It's noon, man. It's 12:30.
Well,
what, are they eating lunch?
Maybe.
Whatever.
That's funny.
Maybe.
So I guess, was it the DJ? Is that why you came up with this?
Yeah, the DJ. Yeah, man. Because here's the deal. The problem is that we talk about these deaths and suicides. I mean, we talk about all that stuff, right?
Right.
When we talk about how, you know how you said that we were talking about what are the real numbers of this overdose and crisis and all that. Well,
okay.
if some of our chemically dependent people are dying by suicide, if they're giving up because this addiction is so horrible,
okay, then
it doesn't get labeled as a death by addiction. It gets labeled as a death by suicide.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of suicides. I think we can lump a lot of suicides into that addiction won, or then even further that mental illness and mental health issues or behavioral issues or mental health issues won. Like that killed us.
Well, I mean, I think
you know what I mean, because I think we need to fight harder against all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this not too long ago. Remember, like when you look at the top 10 ways people die, they could all be somehow, some way traced back to some sort of an addiction. You know, somebody dies of obesity, for instance, obesity-related things. Well, they didn't, they didn't gain that 175 pounds because they enjoyed eating broccoli. They couldn't put down the sugar or stop over-consuming, whatever it may be.
Right.
Somebody dies of, emphysema. Well, it's because they were addicted to the cigarettes. So,
right.
So a lot of we went over this, like the top 10, out of the top 10 things for death at the moment, like 8 of the top 10 were all addictive behavior type things. So I agree with you that mental health seems to be the the number one concern right now for all of us.
Absolutely. Now, look, I'm doing a phone call. One of them just apologized.
Uh-oh. Well, you know what I found interesting while we're getting them on the phone?
What?
Is there was somebody who's on my Facebook feed from across the pond, if you will, over in UK.
Right. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to answer your phone. Go ahead.
And maybe I was just being naive, I guess. I never really looked into it.
What happened?
But apparently over in the UK, she was mentioning that they have the same stigma with mental health over there as well. Which I thought was interesting because you never really think of it that way. You get so immersed in your own little world here.
Right.
So this stigma with mental illness, what is it about that makes everybody so, anti or so afraid of it or so judgmental of that? Not just here, because it seems to be a human thing, not just a society
because
thing.
It says you're not in control. We as humans have a horrible fear of being not in control. I mean, we have worked so hard to be in control because when you're a little kid, everything is no, do this, do that, sit here, sit there. We worked for 18 years to just take that off and say,
right.
F you, I won't do what you tell me, right?
Okay.
Right? We just finally shed it, and then all of a sudden you get told, by the way, this is going to be hanging over your head forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, and we don't like that.
I can see how that would be a I don't want it type of situation.
Right.
But why do we seem to look down on others with it as a society? Why does it seem to be such a...
Because we're bullies. We're just jerks.
Well, there you go.
That's the short answer.
Yeah.
That's my non-clinical answer. We're just jerks.
But I just find it interesting, though, that there's a stigma here in America about mental illness. Like, just the word, like you said.
Yeah.
I have a mental illness. Everybody, ooh, what's wrong with that?
Well, it's because illness is bad. If I have a flu illness, I'm suffering an illness.
So what do you want to call it instead? I have a mental what, enjoyment?
No, it's a disorder, but disorder is not a better word either. I'm just saying... It's just me, Trinity.
I have a mental quirk.
It's just me.
I have a mental
quirk. No,
you
you know me. I don't like to get rid of words because I think that's...
Sure.
I don't want to cower down to the lowest common denominator, and right now I'm the lowest common denominator.
I just, to me, on a sociological level, I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that, and I had this conversation briefly with the person over there in the UK, that, we get so wrapped up in our own little world over here in America that we think that, that nobody else is dealing with the same stuff.
Right.
But in all reality, they all are. We're all humans. Everywhere. We're all dealing with the same thing. And so it seems like this stigma, not only with the mental illness, but with addiction as well.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's like for some reason we can't just accept the fact that there's things outside of our control.
Right.
There's a control word again.
It's control. All right, let's do this again.
All right.
You're going to like this one.
I'm not going to like this one?
You are going to like this one.
Hello.
Mr. Patrick.
My man. What's up?
Yeah, I'm not. Welcome to the Couch Live. You're live on the air right now with Street Certified Dope, Dr. Louis Delgado, and of course, Trinity Phillips, the Dharma Guy, here on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. Hello, brother.
Hey. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, man, I like surprising you. You weren't answering my phone call. You're getting me mad, Patrick. Don't try to avoid my phone call, Patrick. Anyway, let me tell Trinity who's on the phone because I didn't even tell him who I was calling. It's Patrick Dunn from...
Oh, okay, I heard Patrick. I was
from Journey Pure.
Journey Pure. What's up, Dunn?
Trinity talks about you all the time. You know, he loves you all because this Notre Dame
this
thing.
connection we have with Notre Dame.
Smart man.
That's right. And you know what I thought interesting, and now I know why he called you, because I had no clue until probably about a month ago that you're actually a therapist. Like,
yeah,
I had no clue.
You didn't know he was legit?
I did not. I knew he was cool, but I didn't know why.
Oh, you just thought he was just this Marlboro man.
Well, you know what it is.
This Marlboro man.
You know what it is. I just figured because he likes Notre Dame, that's why he's just cool.
Okay.
I didn't realize he actually had qualifications too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's that's how I met him.
Right on.
As a therapist. So anyway, here's a question, Patrick. We have a couple seconds of your time?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. You can help us out. Again, it's Patrick Dunn with Journey Pure. First of all, what's your position at Journey Pure? Let everybody know who you are.
So I'm the Vice President and Chief Development Officer, so I focus on new development, new programs, and kind of identifying areas that really just need help in substance abuse and mental health, and then we build out our programs to serve those communities.
Right on. All right, Patrick, so here's the question. We put a poll out, and the poll read, Can you effectively diagnose somebody with a mental illness while they're still in active addiction? Can you effectively diagnose someone with a mental illness while they're still in active addiction?
Yes. So what we know about mental illness is about 80 to 85%.
Wait, your phone's a little bit muffled. We need to hear you because you got some good stuff that you got to say.
Probably 80 to 85% of people that present to treatment with substance abuse disorders have a co-occurring mental health condition.
Correct.
Right. So, but a lot of times those characteristics of substance abuse and when you get off substances and alcohol are similar to some of the symptoms of mental health.
Right.
So the thing about diagnoses and medication is we don't always know what works, and the good thing about treatment is you have somebody in a safe and stable environment, so you can see how they respond to stuff. And everybody's different. Everybody's body chemistry is different. Everybody responds to medication differently, and then everybody has a different combination of substance abuse and mental health characteristics. So with mental health stuff, you can have some characteristics without having a diagnosis. Sometimes you could have a diagnosis without having characteristics. So we really don't know, but what we do know is sometimes in life we have to kind of take a step back, take a breath, and go somewhere where people can help us figure it out.
Right. So do you think that, because here's on the poll, what happened? What was the numbers?
70-30, no.
70% of the people said no, and I agree a lot with the no's. I got to be honest with you, Patrick, because I think that the overlap is an issue in our industry.
Right.
And and I get very concerned that people get diagnosed with something pretty serious at times when actually it's substance induced, and when the substances are removed and they get treated for their substance disorder, sometimes those aren't presenting anymore. But if
100%.
but if they don't go back and get reevaluated after they've went through a treatment process, they forever walk around thinking they have that mental illness when in actuality their true mental illness is substance use disorder in remission.
Correct. So people change, characteristics change, and people's bodies change, and sometimes you can life circumstances play a big part of stuff, and on people's diagnosis criteria, you can also put people that experience symptoms of things, as in mania or depression, without actually diagnosing them.
Right.
So I think probably in the DSM talks about people needing to be, sober and not using for, 6 or 9 months before you can officially diagnose them. But sometimes when you go to treatment, you don't have that much time, So.
Yeah, really? You're lucky if you get a couple weeks.
That's right.
You got to keep on writing all the night. I used to tell my counselors, you focus on what still needs work, and leave the rah conversation to them personally. Because if you put that rah conversation in documentation, good luck.
That's right.
So anyway. So I think he's helping, right? I mean, are you getting an understanding what he's saying, Trinity? Or are you still?
Well, that's kind of.
You put your arm up over there like you had some sort of victory.
Well,
what were you saying?
I was on the yeses. I agree with him. I was on the yeses. So
you didn't hear what he said when he said yes, though. He qualified that.
I heard what he said.
So what do you think he said?
I qualified my answer too.
All right. So what do you think he said?
I agree with him that there are some overlapping, that you can make a diagnosis there, but you have to reevaluate later on. I agree with him.
So he said yes and no.
So did I.
So Patrick, did you say yes and no?
Yes, and I'm just glad somebody on the show agreed with me, so I feel fantastic.
There you go.
The problem is you agreed with both of us, but if you had to answer that poll just without qualifying it.
Well, let me say the actual verbiage.
Yeah,
of the poll.
He's going to say the actual verbiage. All right.
The
all
poll
right, listen
was
up.
Worded as such: is a mental health diagnosis made while someone is in active addiction valid?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
But
see, there goes the but.
but every situation is different. Just a lot of times that people you have a history of information on people, and if you have a history of information, you can establish patterns throughout their lives.
So you just
right. So it all depends.
But you just jumped in.
Yes
you jumped into the reason I said no. You just jumped into the reason I said no because here's my issue. As a substance abuse professional for over 28 years, I've noticed a lot of mental health professionals that do not understand addiction start diagnosing our clients early on in their career, in their life of using, as other things because the clients lie to them, right? It's not drinking. I'm not drinking that much. I'm not using cocaine, and they don't get drug tested. A lot of mental health what private practitioner, mental health professional drug tests their clients?
Oh God.
Which one? Who?
None that I know of.
Yeah, none. No private practice that's not linked with a psychiatrist right there on site drug test their clients.
Right.
So we have people that are using drugs throughout a long period of time misdiagnosed. I think they do have some characteristics of depression, anxiety, whatever, and they start using substances to alleviate that, but it's not sustainable, and therefore in time it stops working, or they have to use more of the drug to alleviate those symptoms, and then that's when they get into problems specifically with the substance use a little bit harder, and the addiction takes more precedent. When early on, if it would have been spotted that, yes, they may have depression, yes, they may have anxiety, however, it's being exacerbated by your substance use, then we could have helped a lot more. And the reason this all came up, Patrick, is because that Avinci, or God, I know I'm saying his name wrong, and there's people probably really mad at me right now on the air, but
I don't know
the DJ that recently killed himself, but he also had a long history of alcohol dependence. So what we're saying is there's a lot more people dying of addiction that it's not getting called addiction because it's getting called suicide, when suicide 100%. Is a way out for a lot of addicts.
That's right. And also what we have to know about diagnoses is we're misdiagnosing children and giving them addictive substances before they're 10. So it's not a surprise that you get misdiagnosed as an adolescent, as a young adult, when you've been getting prescribed substances that are addictive since you were a child. So I think the big change, obviously, not jumping the gun and diagnosing people, is us to find other solutions that's not medicine.
Right.
And I think that, Trinity has one of the best ones, when it comes to, mindfulness and meditation and lifestyle and exercise and nutrition.
Correct.
There's a whole lot of solutions out there that, if you got a prescription pad on your desk that you don't necessarily look at.
Correct. See, Trinity, he likes you because of your qualities. You like him because of his Notre Dame. See,
no, I actually like him because he's just a cool person.
But you see, he appreciates the true qualities of who you are as a practitioner and as a person. You need to be a little less shallow, my friend.
Hey, actually, I liked him all before I even knew that he was in the Notre Dame, when I saw him on the golf course that time. So.
Okay, so you like him because his dress code, or the way he looks, that he's a tall 6'4"?
They were just fun to be around.
Stud or whatever he is.
Fun to be around.
I'll take whatever I can get.
I do agree with him, though. I agree with him in the sense that I do, and we've done Dharma Time on this one actually a couple of weeks ago. Was just I think that spirituality is so underrated nowadays. I really do. I think people. They just
they run from it.
They don't value it the way they should. They really do. I don't think they do that
until they're in a foxhole.
Yeah, until it's too late.
That's right.
Then all of a sudden it becomes important.
But we don't understand it. I mean, because we're not educating people about it, and it seems, just from my perspective, that it's been taboo to even talk about it. And I think that you can talk about it and educate people from a perspective that doesn't sway one way or another.
Right.
I mean, in people that are, in 12-step recovery, we know that, hey, you don't have to believe this, you don't have to believe that. Right. You better believe something. You better believe something.
Yeah, I think that on the dollar bill, we're going to put "In Me I Trust." Let's see how that works for us, right?
There you go.
No, I'm kidding, man. Listen, you do a lot of great work over there at Journey Pure. So before we finish up with you, why don't you tell us some of the things that you do? Because here's one of the things that I want to say about Journey Pure that I don't think a lot of people know. Journey Pure is in network with several. Like, who are you in network with, by the way?
So, company-wide, we're in network with almost every provider. At each center, it's different. If you call our main addiction center, I can tell you who we're networked with at each location. Our major in-network contract there in Panama City Beach in Florida is we're in network with Florida Blue.
Okay.
So that's the majority of our referrals there. But we offer different services. And what I'll say is, I pretty much just look for people like you, and Now Matters More to team up with, to both fight this. And I think from the beginning on the Journey Pure, we wanted to serve the majority of people in the regions, And the majority of people have network insurance, and they don't have a lot of money to spend.
Right.
You know, and that's okay. And if it's up to me, and somebody can use insurance and save their money for aftercare, they can go to aftercare and they can find resources through you. They can find resources through me.
Right.
Because this is I was speaking in Alabama yesterday. This is a chronic thing. This isn't a 30-day or 60-day or 90-day solution. This takes a lifetime to work. So, the longer someone can stay connected to the provider, better chances they have to be successful.
Absolutely. Frank Severino from Riverman was screaming praises at you yesterday.
Good.
I was talking to Frank yesterday. Man, he was talking you guys up like he was repping for you guys now.
Right on.
I thought that was really cool.
I do the same thing, man. I mean, if and I really try to. And there's a lot of us out there, and there's a lot of good. And I know that bad treatment, people mismanaging the system gets a lot of news. But on the other hand, there's a lot of heroes out there, and there's a lot of guys that are in this for the right reason, that are taking care of patients. And Frank and Riverman's one of them.
Right on. I really like that. When you're in Florida, you got to come in here in the studio and actually be here with us one of these days, Patrick.
Oh,
yeah. I need to. We just partnered up with Florida Counseling Centers in Melbourne. And we're adding more resources there, so I'm going to get my guy, Dr. Mike, to come up and be on the show.
That's fully official. We know, I know Dr. Mike.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Mike's a good friend of mine.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's all official. It's all done. It's all locked up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, see,
we
I could have called him right now.
I had Jamie on Dharma
Jamie
Time.
Vance. Jamie Vance was here.
He was on Dharma Time.
Absolutely, he was on Dharma Time. Yeah, you need it. Yeah, we'll have Dr. Mike come up here. That's right. I can't say his last name, Dr. Rosansville or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know how to say it. So I just Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike,
and very few Caucasians confuse me with their last names.
Yeah, we try to keep it simple.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I can say every Spanish name. And then there's some other names I can't say, but man, very few Caucasians have difficult last names. You know what? Dr. Mike has a very confusing last name.
Interesting.
I don't know what that is. But anyway, we appreciate you, man, and all that you do and all you guys do at Journey Pure. And what I was saying is that I can't believe the amenities and the quality of treatment professionals you have for even in-network. Typically, an in-network place looks very different than an out-of-network place. But when you're able to do the things like the outings and the experiential therapies that you guys offer as an in-network provider is just it's unheard of. Typically you don't have experiential therapies at an in-network facility. You just don't do it.
That's right.
And I know all your treatment centers are different. Like some, like the River. If you've never been there, people, if you've never been to the River, go visit. If you're in the business of treatment, by the way, and you're listening to this, you got to call Patrick and get to the River. Because the River is phenomenal.
Any time a listener wants to see any of our facilities, we would love to have you.
Because I think when you go when you visit like 12 Keys and then you visit the River, you get to see how each place has its own culture, yet it's connected through the same messaging and it's connected with the same aftercare policies and aftercare connection through their app. And so I appreciate all you guys do in our field, Patrick. Keep doing what you're doing. I love you, man.
All right, love you guys. Thanks for calling.
All right, man. See you later. Bye.
All right.
All right. So that was Patrick.
I like it.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
That whole crew, though.
So you see how you got to qualify your answer when you're one of us. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, when I even said mine, I qualified.
Yeah, but you can't. On a poll, you got to just say your answer.
Correct. So for me, I was playing a number, so I said yes. Because I could think of instances where it could be.
I still disagree with you guys. I'll put no first, and then I'll qualify it, rather than say yes and then qualify it. And the reason is because of all that outpatient work.
Sure.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I hear you.
I worked in outpatient business for so many years, and people would come in and they go, I got this problem. That's why I smoke pot, because I do this. And it's like, have you ever told your doctor that you smoke pot? Hell no.
Right. Well,
have you ever told your doctor you drink? No.
That's what makes a good poll question, though, is it's not a very easy yes or no.
Our poll questions are always.
But I got to
be
honest with you. This was actually, and once again, we didn't even. I asked you earlier today what the show was going to be about,
right?
And you're like, I don't know yet. And then all of a sudden, I see the poll pop up.
I didn't know.
And so
I was busy with other things.
The fact that I didn't know anything about it and I saw it pop up,
right?
This was probably for me one of the hardest ones to answer so far. All the other ones, it's been easy for me to whatever.
Really?
But even with this one, with the experience that we have, I was still like because I could see both.
Right.
So I went ahead and took a shot and just said yes.
Yeah. And see, and that's why.
But I didn't agree 100% with either one of them.
Yeah, and mine's mainly personal, to be honest with you. It's mainly out of so many psychiatrists and so many therapists just not understanding addiction and misdiagnosing people with something else and acting like, well, they don't have a drug problem. You know, they have this problem. And it's like, well, you know what? Maybe initially that was the deal.
Right.
But now they have an addiction, and if you don't treat the addiction, all that little talking you're doing in your office,
it's going in one year.
Yeah. All they're doing waiting to leave and then light back up.
Well, and that's why that one gentleman who on our post said it was a very interesting kind of debate. There is which one came first, the chicken or the egg? You know, did the mental illness come first that caused the addiction, or did the addiction come first to cause the mental illness?
Right.
It's a very interesting question.
Right. So, anyway, I mean, Denny's now texting me back and now wanting to jump on the air.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, one
he
of them
missed
was
out,
Denny?
didn't he? Yeah, one of them was Denny.
Right on.
You know, so let's call him real quick. I just want to get his answer real quick. Now I'm curious.
He's gonna give a long one too, though.
Well,
like you said, we're all qualifiers.
He doesn't have minutes. We don't have the time, Denny, to be long-winded. So let's see what Denny says.
Then don't call Aaron.
No,
because it'll be a long answer.
That's his mentor, and Dr. Mike is his mentor. See. Look, now you're not gonna answer.
Wow.
You're gonna text me and say you're ready. You're not gonna answer.
Wow.
No, you're.
He's in between helping people.
Now I'm gonna start calling him every day. You're gonna do this to me, Denny.
Louis.
Denny.
What's up?
Welcome to the Couch Live. You're on the street certified dope, Dr. Louis Delgado here on the Couch Live with, of course, the Dharma Guy Trinity Phillips on the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. There's my disclaimer, Denny. You're live on the air.
Awesome.
What's up?
I'm glad to be here.
Listen, why are you not answering my phone calls, man? I listen. If I call you between 12 and 1 on a Friday,
okay,
you just got to pick up the dang phone. That means I'm calling you live on the air.
That's good. That's good to know.
So you tell your staff. I don't care what kind of staff meeting you're in or what lunch you're having. You got to tell your staff, Louis is more important. I got to leave.
I pretty much did that. I ended it 5 minutes early. I did the awkward, I got to go. So I'm here.
All right,
I'm here on the couch.
Right on, brother. All right, so we got only like 5 minutes left, but I got a quick question for you. We had a poll, and I'm going to have Trinity read the poll to you, and you give me your answer, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's see what the great Denny Coles from Peace Club. While he's pulling it up, why don't you tell everybody who you are, Denny?
My name is Denny Kolsch. I am the co-founder and clinical director of Peace Club. We are an opioid recovery community in Cocoa Beach, Florida. We offer recovery residents and higher levels of care for men. We also have some programming for women. But, yep, in Cocoa Beach, right across from the ocean. So
that's true. It's
very right there.
Yeah, it's definitely a Peace Club. That's for sure. All right, Trinity, go ahead.
And I do have to say first, though, that they win the award for the coolest logo placement ever.
The coolest logo placement for sure.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is a mental health diagnosis made while someone is in active addiction valid? Yes or no?
Well, in mental health assessments, when you are coming to a diagnosis, you have to rule out substance use or a substance that could be inducing the mental health symptoms. So generally speaking, I disagree in making diagnostic decisions that are pretty extreme, such as like saying somebody has bipolar disorder like 2 weeks after they've been using methamphetamines, something of that nature, or even like anxiety. So generally I stay away from giving people diagnoses in the first 1 to 2 months until we start to see their more baseline behaviors come out. So it's a yes and no kind of thing, but I do think people are overly diagnosed with some pretty severe mental health and personality disorders during early stages of treatment.
I completely agree. See?
Good answer.
See, I mean, I knew you were the guy to call, Denny. I knew you'd understand. I know that I could send a client to Peace Club, and they're not going to come out diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia in the first week.
It's very true. Yeah.
And get told that, they're a borderline personality disorder. What addict using crack or crystal meth doesn't look like a borderline personality disorder, by the way?
None, and which doesn't after they've been sleepless for 7 nights straight.
Exactly.
Isn't having hallucinations.
Exactly.
You know what I love though is the fact that all of us who are even remotely connected to this field, all feel the need to qualify our answers.
Yeah, you have to.
None of us are just simply yes or no. It's always well, see, but
right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I probably was the fastest just to say no, but I still qualified it. But the reason I said no, again, is, Denny, I came from that outpatient world for a long time, and it's like I saw way too many people diagnosed with stuff that was heavy and put on heavy medication. I'm like, no. A matter of fact, there's somebody real close to us, Trinity, and I'll tell you afterwards because he talks about it and he's open about it. He was diagnosed with a very severe diagnosis. It wasn't into – I was seeing him for over 30 days before all of a sudden he snapped out of it. And before that, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was, and he was not. He was not. Yeah. He was catatonic. He had catatonia.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so Denny, thank you so very much with all you. But hey, Denny went out to California and didn't even let anyone know until he was already gone.
I did not. I don't get on social media very often.
Yeah.
So
you just
follow me.
Yeah, you just in business with a guy that worked at Facebook, but you don't do social media too often. But you know the power of it, sir.
Yes.
Yes, and I have good employees who like to like to jump on Facebook and do their thing. So
right.
If you want to know what I'm doing, just follow my friends.
No, what I prefer, Denny, is that you call me directly. How about that?
I can do that.
I love you, man.
There you go.
I really do. I'm so proud of you, brother. I'm just so proud of you and so happy for you. I'm glad you have Peace Club and started that. I'm so happy for you and for all the people of the Melbourne area and the Cocoa Beach area and the Brevard County area that they have a resource like you in that area. Anything you guys need, I want to go down there with you and fight with you at the task force down there. So call me afterwards, okay?
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much.
All right,
see you. Bye. All right, that's Denny with Peace Club.
Peace Club has such a good vibe too, though.
They do. All right, we got to close up.
Yes, we do. We're running out of time.
Yeah, we are. So, anyway, you got any last comments or last words?
I mean, I would just say that it's a complicated question and a complicated answer. I think there is no simple solution or simple, easy answer other than, stay focused and continue to put the work in.
Yeah.
Whether it's mental health, whether it's specifically substance abuse, you got to address it, and you got to address it professionally, and it's not the end of the world, but it can be if you don't address it.
Right. I agree. All right. So anyway, it's a complicated thing, kids. The thing is that if you've been diagnosed with any mental health issue and you're using, and those people don't know that you're using, you need to out yourself. You need to say something about it, or go get stabilized so that you can see whether this is really happening to you, whether you really need to be on these psychotropic medications or these psychiatric medications. The only way to really find out is you got to walk in there with a clear head, and you can't get a clear head if you're using. I'm just sorry, you just can't do it. And so you may walk around the rest of your life on some medications that you really don't require. Anyway, from all of us here on the Couch Live, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?